Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming back to another episode of Dela's Voice. I am so honored and I'm so fortunate to have this platform called Dela's Voice to bring you more information, to bring you inspiration, and to bring you motivation to change your lives for the better. And I do this with all my love. And I do this through the knowledge of other superheroes that are so willing to share so generously. So every time I meet one of these superheroes, I count my blessings and I thank God that I have this platform. So today's guest, today's superhero is a repeat offender. It is my pleasure to have him on Dela's Voice as he so graciously agrees to be on here and share his knowledge with all of us. And I look forward to learning from him every single time. Ahmad Shah Duranai is an author, a speaker. He is an architect, a project manager, leadership and communications, and high performance coach. His book, The Leadership Zone, is a holistic manual on issues of leadership in organizations and beyond, with or without a title. I call The Leadership Zone my life management encyclopedia. As you can find everything A to Z to life management in that book. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome my friend, my coach, Ahmad Shah Duranai on Dela's Voice. Hello, good evening.
Hello, Dela. I think you deserve to be called a hero.
Why?
Because you bring all these heroes to your to your show.
It's true.
And it's it is nice to be a guest on your show because you are having a great impact where we are living in Canada and also internationally. And you are changing lives through Dela's Voice. And I'm honored to be a guest of your show.
Thank you. I so appreciate you being here. Every time you're on here, I learned so much from you, Ahmed. And I know that other people, there are lots of people that follow you. I know that for a fact. I don't know how many thousands of followers you have, but I know you have a lot of them. And they watch you and they learn from you. So I'm just so blessed to have you on here. Thank you so much. And so I just want to make sure that we're both streaming on our Facebook pages and want to make sure that people are watching and that as they come on, let's say hi to them all and thank them for joining us. So thank you, everybody who's already on there. We have people on YouTube, on different Facebook pages. So tonight's topic is one that I am so fascinated by. I'm always fascinated by improving our communication skills. I think it's so important. But you know what intrigues me is that we have such different viewpoints on the same issue. And sometimes we can argue till we're blue in the face. And no one is willing to back down. And that creates a lot of conflicts, a lot of arguments, a lot of unnecessary stress in our lives. So I wonder if we can discuss this topic a little bit in depth, because I know that you are the master communications expert. So I picked the topic of my truth or your truth. Which one is the real truth? and and so as we go deep into this, I want to invite our viewers to please um, comment and share with us your questions, but also please go ahead and share this talk with your friends, because you just never know who could hear this message and learn a couple of things. And so please share this, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up this way, thumbs up to let us know that you like this talk. And so with that, Ahmad Shah, let's dig deep. What is the real truth? My truth or your truth?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I want to welcome all the viewers and to thank them for their time that they're going to watch here. I think this is a controversial topic, and I would love to have their comments and their insights on it. But just to start it, in schools, we will be given these multiple choice questions. So let's make a multiple choice question from the statement, my truth, your truth, and we'll add two other things to it. All of the above or none of the above. And my answer will be that all of the above and none of the above. Let's go a little bit deeper into it, as to how we create our truth, or what we assume is our truth. So we'll go a little bit deeper on it. Just for the viewer's sake, let's say that they should think whether what they think is the truth or what they think is their opinion, or one and the same thing, or they are two different things.
Okay, so that's interesting, right? So let's say that again. Is it your truth? Is it your opinion?
Yeah. Or is your opinion different
No.
than your truth?
Oh, okay, that's
Okay.
interesting. Yes.
So the other thing is that before we go to the truth, which is a spiritual item, okay, let's go to facts, which is in the physical universe, which are things that can be measured, okay? And let's differentiate between two other items related to the truth, okay, and to the facts. In our normal conversation, we refer to items as a subjective point of view or as an objective point of view. We look at certain things subjectively and we look at them objectively. But what is the difference between them? In a simple way, the difference between subjective and objective is whether we use, in describing that item, do we use adjectives or not?
Okay.
A very simple distinction. If there is an item here, there is an object here, and it's on the table, and you describe it as beautiful, and another person describes it that, oh, it's cute, and another person describes it that it's pretty, and another one describes it, oh, it's white and blue. Okay, these are all subjective approaches because we describe it with adjectives.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes. Yes.
so our opinions are highly filled with adjectives. That's why we think it's the truth.
And they're subjective.
Okay, so when it comes to facts, that's how we differentiate between whether we look at it objectively or we look at it subjectively. Now, to go back, how do we form these filters to look at certain things subjectively or objectively? I have developed this concept of the reality loop, which I believe you are familiar with. It's
It's in
It's
your book.
it's in my book. And to simply explain it to people is that whether we say something, whether we take an action, or we behave in a particular way, or do anything, any action that we take, any move that we make, any action that we take will have a consequence. It will result in something. It will have an outcome. Okay?
Definitely.
So this is a reverse engineering if I'm going through. So we take it from the outcome.
Okay.
The outcome is the result of our actions, our behavior, and whatever move we make. But what determines our moves and our actions? What is the driving force behind our actions? And that is our emotions. Okay? Let's say I feel hungry, so I'm motivated to go to the fridge, open it, and get something to eat, or go to the oven and cook it. Okay? I feel tired, so I take an action. I go and rest, or I do meditation, or I just sit in a garden and enjoy the fresh air, or something like that. So our actions are determined by our emotions, but
Mm-hmm.
occasionally there is a reverse loop. Sometimes our actions will affect our emotions also. Our feelings and our emotions will be affected by our actions, but emotions have seniority over it. Emotion has precedence.
Okay, so let me clarify this for myself for
Mm.
my benefit, because we're always thought we're always taught that our thoughts cause our feelings cause our actions.
Yeah, but we haven't reached to the thoughts yet.
Okay, but you're saying not only our actions are caused by emotions, but it could be vice versa.
It could be vice versa
Okay,
also.
how
And then
so?
sometimes I'll tell you, let's say you feel very bored and depressed, etc., and you get up and you do a rigorous exercise.
Oh, well, of course, yes.
Okay, or
Yes,
you walk through nature, etc., it will affect your feeling,
yes,
right?
yes,
So
definitely.
but feeling has seniority over our actions.
Okay.
Okay, now what affects our feelings
It's our thoughts.
as a senior thing? So the thoughts are senior to emotions. So our thoughts affect our emotions, but sometimes our emotions will affect our thoughts also.
Mm,
There are internal loops. There is a big loop of the reality loop, what I call it, but between each of those two drivers there is an internal loop with
okay.
one coming senior to the other one. So our thoughts affect our emotions, but occasionally our emotions will affect our thoughts. Now our thoughts, on the other hand, are affected by our belief system.
Yes,
Okay, it's
definitely.
it's not just beliefs. It's a whole bundle of things. It's our paradigms, our belief system, or what I refer to our blueprint,
Mm-hmm,
which we created as we grew from our childhood.
mm-hmm,
Looking at our parents, our elders, our teachers, etc., we create a blueprint of how the outside world ought to be, is, and ought to be, and that determines our thought process.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes all our belief systems are affected by our thoughts. So there is that internal loop there. But generally speaking, so what determines our belief system, our thought, and our beliefs, our paradigms, our blueprints are determined by three things. Three things. That is our experience, our education, and our environment.
You call them the three E's.
The three E's. The three E's. when we go deeper into it, there is only one E actually, but just to make it understand on a lower gradient scale, I have kept it at three E's. Okay, so those three E's. Now we can go back from our three E's. It's our three E's that determines our belief system, our blueprint. They determine our thoughts. Our thoughts determine our emotions. Our emotions determine our actions, and our actions lead to certain outcomes. And that outcome is an experience. Is an experience. And that experience feeds back to the 3E box. That's when the loop is completed.
Mm-hmm.
So if we are not happy with our outcome, the easier change that we can make is in the box where the 3 E's are. So either we change our education, or we change our environment, or we change our experience.
I would love it if we could work an example into this. Is that possible?
Sure, it is possible. Sure, it is possible. You mean to change
So if we
the
could,
outcome?
yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So let's say in my business, I my sales are not very well.
Okay.
Okay, and I want to improve the sales. Whatever I do, the outcome of my actions is is that I don't get the amount of sales closings that I want and I desire. So that outcome feeds back into the three E's, and the cycle repeats itself. Now, to break the cycle and to improve that one, then what can I do? Either I enroll in certain courses, or I hire somebody to coach me so that they will show me new skills and new ways of how to deal with
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And that will feed back into my values and to my paradigms, and that will change my thinking, which will change the way I feel about selling. And then I will take a different action, and there will be a different outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yes.
that, is that
That
example
that
good?
makes that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
Now, using this reality loop also creates filters because everything that we evaluate is based on this circuit that we have created. Our experience, our education, and our environment tells us how to look at things, how the outside world is, what is fact and what is truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we come back to, is it my truth or is it your truth? And which one is the real truth? Come back to that question. So, because no two people, there are just minus 8 billion people in the world. A little bit. They
Yeah.
haven't reached 8 million mark yet, but they are approaching. So these 8 million people, you will not find two people who have identical education, experience, or environment.
True.
Therefore, we all look at things differently.
Yes.
That's where the difference comes. That is it my truth or is it your truth, and what is the truth?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so uh, because of those filters, the important thing is not what is your truth and what is my truth. Okay, I will look at it. I will, let's say, address this issue from another point of view. The thing is that knowing the reality loop, that every person has a unique reality loop, can we accept that my reality loop is not any better nor worse than your reality loop?
Ah, well, that's a key point right there.
That's really okay.
Yes.
And if we can reach that point that, yes, as a matter of fact, there are 8 billion plus reality, 7 billion plus reality loops, and they're all of equal value. There is no superior or inferior reality loops. Because if we were change those three things for each individual, we'll get the same thing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I have been questioned that what about genetics? Don't genetics play a role in it? And my answer is that genetics is the product of the environment. So environment is there.
Okay.
Okay. So
Mhm.
looking at it from this perspective, why is it important to know, is the real truth my truth or your truth? Why can't we reach an agreement that, as a matter of fact, we look at the same thing and we see it differently because we have different viewpoints? Because our reality loop creates a different viewpoint. So let's say I bring you an example. There are 10 people sitting around a round table. Okay, a round table. It's a wedding, for example. It's in a banquet hall, a wedding, and there is where they put the light and they put some flowers, and there is a vase in the middle of the table. Okay, and there are flowers in it, and there are 10 people around the table. Each person looking at the vase will have a different view of the vase.
Yes, because they're sitting somewhere else.
They are sitting somewhere else because, and that their sitting is part of their reality loop.
Mm-hmm.
So, which one's viewpoint is correct?
Haha. Yes. So that's totally, yeah, totally.
That's where the thing is. What happens is that in in normal conversations, in normal conversations, when we are challenged, three things I will mention here. Three things are determining that we react rather than respond rationally. We react emotionally to the issue. One of it is that they're challenging our ego, okay? And our ego is ready to fight.
Yes.
So if we learn how to manage our ego, which is also in my book, there is a whole section on ego, how it affects our life, and what are the 5 different ways that our ego interacts with other people. Um, when people say that their opinion is better than my opinion, my ego is challenged, and I have to get up and defend myself.
Yes.
Why? Because first of all, I haven't learned how to manage my ego. Second thing is that human being, contrary to what you might have heard, that people are afraid of public speaking more than they are afraid of death. Actually, they are not afraid of public speaking as much as they are afraid of being
Being
wrong,
wrong.
being wrong without
Ah,
an excuse.
yes.
Okay, that's why we reject the other person. And because we are not equipped with proper communication skills to manage those dynamics, then conflict occurs.
Yes.
Hmm? So
Guilty
that's
as charged.
okay. So the third element. So I mentioned two. I mentioned the ego. I mentioned that we don't want to be proven wrong without an excuse. The third one, the third one is that we use adjectives when we describe things. When there are no adjectives in sentences, we cannot reject them.
Oh wow. Can we let's play that game. Let's just make sure you're right. I know you're right, but let's just
Okay.
make sure you're right.
So this sentence, I'm describing this one, and I say this is a book.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Can you reject this? Can
Not
you
at
argue?
all.
Okay. But if I say this is a beautiful book.
I can reject that.
You can reject it, right?
Yes. Well, I wouldn't reject that because I love
Well,
that
I
book.
know that, but you work for somebody else well,
I
right?
know. Yes, absolutely.
As soon as we use an adjective, we are creating ground for conflict or for an emotional attachment.
So without adjectives, we do not have any conflicts. And adjectives are so subjective.
And because they evoke emotions in us.
Yes. I mean, yes, I'm thinking about all these different things that people argue over politics and religion and whether life is good or bad. If I just said this is life, no one would argue with me.
Yeah. You can say this is life, and you can use neutral adjectives. Adjectives have positive or negative energies, but
Hmm.
there are neutral adjectives. So I can say life is full of ups and downs.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, but this is fine, and I totally understand it, and I appreciate that. But we're human beings. We have so many emotions.
Yeah.
And we like to use adjectives. What I'm struggling with is that why is it that we have to make each other wrong? And that I struggle with. Why can't I call this book beautiful and you can call it um, I don't know, ordinary, and we can get along. We should be able to do that. No?
Okay. So we have um, we have a propensity to implode words. Okay, for lack of better word that I don't know, considering that English is my, I don't know, third, fourth language.
I think you're doing amazing.
Okay, uh, what we do is that if we, let's say, pretend that we agree with somebody else's idea, then we will be wrong because it's different. Ours is different than the other one. And that's where the language skill, the communication skills come into play. So you know that uh, my mentor and teacher James McNeil is the creator of verbal Aikido,
Yes.
which he has created specifically to overcome these problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm privileged to be a master trainer of that program.
Yes.
And the purpose of that program is so that we can communicate honestly, openly, respectfully, and directly with calm confidence and safe strength and pure motivation without feeling guilty or tearing other people apart. So, without this skill, what we do is in order to protect our being right, we tear other people and we try to prove that they are wrong. And the other side is doing the same thing.
Yes.
And it is because we confuse between the word to accept and the word to agree to. It's very simple. People don't want you to agree with them. They generally want to know that they are heard, understood, accepted, and respected. And there is a big difference between accepting and agreeing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, you and I have different opinion of a particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of arguing, I could tell you that, oh my God, I never heard that the way that you described it. It's very unique. I'm I'm very intrigued and I want to understand it. Can you explain it again? And then you explain it, and then I understand it perfectly. So I say, oh, I understand your position and your viewpoint. and I accept it. However, considering that my reality loop is different than yours, at this time, I think differently about it. I hope you won't mind.
That sounds so easy. That sounds so easy. Yes. So you're so right. In nothing of what you said is insulting, and nothing of what you said makes me want to argue more because
Or make you wrong, or
yes,
make you wrong,
yes,
right?
exactly. And I think that's the reason, right? Because you didn't make me wrong. Because you said tell me more, which means you want to hear more.
Yeah,
Right. And so many times we just don't want to hear each other. It's like, no, it's my way or the highway. So if you don't see the same way as I do, then I don't want to talk to you. And so this way is so much better because you're asking the person to tell you more, which means that you're wanting to her or him to be heard,
yeah.
and you're respecting them.
And when they feel that they are heard, understood, accepted, and respected, there is the law of reciprocity. You know that the law of
Yes,
reciprocity. When
yes,
they feel respected,
they
they will
want
rise to the
to.
occasion to respect you
Yes,
and to
yes,
accept your position. And
yes.
it's not a winning game, as to who is going to win and who is going to lose, because it's the zero-sum game. And the way James McNeil has developed the verbal Aikido and the way I teach verbal Aikido, we don't use it to win or to lose. We teach this communication skill so people can improve their relationships, take their relationships to a higher level.
Hmm. Yes, and it's and nobody wins. And we've had this conversation before.
But
Like,
actually, everybody wins, not nobody wins.
right now, yes, in this scenario, everybody wins. But when nobody wins, when we keep arguing,
Exactly.
right? And so I know that at another talk we talked about this. It was a part of efficient communication was a scenario where everybody wins.
Yeah.
That's
Effective.
amazing.
Actually, I would call it effective communication rather than efficient, because you know that there are elements that are a whole series of things line up in one column, and another series of things line up in another, and the third one. In my book, we have this formula of being and doing and having.
Yes.
Yeah. So effectiveness comes with being, and efficiency comes with doing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then effectiveness comes with character, and the character comes with being, and competence comes with doing,
Doing.
and results come with outcome, and things like that. So there are those things. There are quite a few levels of looking at these things, and then so people who come to my programs, they go out with a completely different perspective.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Um, knowledge is power. Amateur. When we know better, we do better.
Yes. So without going a lot to a higher level of understanding, knowledge, well, not good at the higher level is knowing rather than knowledge. Knowledge is a poor replacement for knowing. But let's put it this way, that um, people substitute beliefs for knowledge, and we'll keep it at that. Okay.
I
So,
I like that very much.
okay.
That resonates with me.
So if we have knowledge, we won't need beliefs. We,
Hmm.
if we know something, we don't need to believe in
Hmm.
something.
Hmm.
So let's see a good example. is, do you believe that your name is Dela, or you know that your name is Dela?
I know that my name is Dela.
Okay, so there is no belief, right?
Right. Yes.
But on the
And
other
no
hand,
one can argue with that.
exactly. So when we know and we have knowledge, our level of certainty goes very high.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we are not certain, we somehow need to create a frame of reference in which we can survive. And that's why we create belief systems. And those beliefs, so they start as perceptions. And when perception is unchallenged for 3 minutes, it becomes a belief. And that's how it's a survival mechanism.
So here something comes to my mind, and that's when you hear from people, oh, I know I'm right.
Okay, we didn't actually go to the issue of right and wrong.
But so I meaning taking that as I know, as
Yes,
opposed to I believe,
yeah.
as I know. Um, what do you think?
Uh, Actually, you have to people have to define what right and wrong means, because those are relative things.
Right
What is
or
right
wrong?
for
Yes.
me, what is right for me might not be right for you.
Yes.
Okay, so there is no universal definition except to say that okay, um, right is that thing that will help the survival of maximum number of people and things.
I think we might lose people on this one, Ahmad.
Okay, well,
It might be a little too complicated.
okay, so we won't go there.
We won't go there.
That we'll keep it at the level that our perception of right and wrong is similar to our perception of truth. Okay, every person will have a different understanding of what is right and what is wrong, and for as long as their perception of right and wrong doesn't harm me, I will have no reason not to accept it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so generally speaking, that will suddenly lower the level of conflict in
Mm-hmm.
any situation.
Mm-hmm. So I want to take a break right now and just make sure that we acknowledge people who are watching us. And I want to thank them all for being here. Make sure that you leave us comments. If you have any questions, leave them as well. Maybe you've had an experience where you've asked yourself, yeah, why do we look at things in so many different ways? And so hopefully you got some answer to that question as we delve deep into that concept. I want to take a quick break, if that's okay by you, and we're gonna come back very, very quickly, and hopefully we'll go deeper into the next topic.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're back with the topic of my truth or your truth. Which one is the real truth? Something that I think a lot of people battle with. And Amateur, I think my next question is this, or not so much question, more of an observation. I feel like so many of us, when we get into this back and forth conflict of I'm right, you're wrong issue, we can really get into a lot of stress. I don't know if that's a common experience with a lot of people, but I feel like there's yeah we can put ourselves in anxious situations just by arguing back and forth and trying to prove the other person right or wrong, and so trying to prove ourselves right. Um, how can we deal with this? How what's the solution with that?
I think that when we are raised uh, by our parents who grew up in an environment without the skills of how to resolve conflicts, we inherit that situation. The three E's of the reality loop actually, you know, imposes on us whatever we have learned from our ancestors, from our parents, our teachers, our school, church, masjid, synagogue, whatever, wherever we learn these things from. They create our belief system, our paradigms, and creates our filters through which we see everything. And and on the other hand, to manage those filters and to manage the entire loop, we need certain communication skills. And they don't teach us. In school, they don't teach us. In at home, they don't teach us. Yeah. And that's where a lot of conflicts come. So in my book, I describe these 7 laws of communication,
Yes.
which the law of truth is one of them. But so if we are brought up and if we are educated that, look, when we look at anything, any object that we look at, there are at least 3 different versions of truth. There is my truth. I look at it, I see it something based on my past experience, on the environment in which I grew up, and the education that have studied that this object is from plastic, and I know that okay, this one is it's designed to hold an iPhone or a mobile device. So when I speak, it's on the floor and I can see it on the table. I can see it properly. But look at the person, a shepherd who has never seen an iPhone and hasn't seen things that are made of plastic, and we show this to that person, he's going to see it differently.
Hmm.
So now, is his way of looking wrong and mine is correct?
No.
No. Okay, so it's that understanding that one of the laws for effective communication is that there is no one single version of truth. And when we accept that as a principle of communication, then when somebody says something outrageous, okay, uh, and this happens a lot in politics because some political figures are very polarizing. So when those statements are made, we don't suddenly are shocked and respond in a radical manner. Okay, we accept it as okay, one way of looking at it, one viewpoint. There are obviously other laws of communications that we can use to diffuse the situation. There
Hmm.
is, like I just mentioned, previously, the example that I brought is that okay, one of the laws is the law of space. That means I can create the space for the other person to talk and empty themselves, empty their chest from whatever is bothering them in a safe environment. And when they empty it, then they will be able to listen to me. But if already their chest is full and I want to impose another idea on them, they won't have the capacity to hold it. They will revolt against what I'm saying. So applying those laws, getting familiar with them and then applying them will take the communication to a completely different level. And so in the verbal Aikido is entirely based on this, how to nurture relationships, how to manage conflict situations, how to manage the various ego states that reside within us, that all create conditions for conflict as we progress in our conversation or in our relationships and things like that.
And as always, I guess it's not really a matter of whether I can change your point of view. It's I think it's important for me to change myself, so that when I'm in a situation where I'm trying to I'm faced with someone whose truth is different than mine, I can use my communication skills and listen, be respectful, accept, and really allow and nurture
Yes,
that two-way
just
communication. Yeah.
just that acceptance is non-judgmental.
Yes.
Okay, you don't pass judgment. Say that okay.
That
You,
might be hard at first.
yeah, okay. You just
We
say
get
that I accept that this viewpoint exists.
Yes. Yes.
However, at this time, I have a different viewpoint.
Because I guess when you really think about this, the other person has exactly the same. Your position is their position. I mean, they're probably thinking the same thing
Yeah.
too. And so it's important to, when they say put yourself in the other person's shoe, they're not right, that there's something to that. So if we can just remember that, okay, this is my truth, this is my viewpoint, there are other viewpoints, and so I got to be respectful, I got to be non-judgmentally accepting, and letting the other person be heard, then they're going to mirror, they're gonna also return the same, right? The same.
There are the six principles of influence. One of them is the influence of reciprocity.
Yes, reciprocity.
Okay, that principle is applicable here.
Yes.
When you respect somebody, when you render respect to a person's possession, in most cases, they will return the favor.
Sometimes I myself, this is fine. I find this about me, that sometimes I just plain avoid arguments. I step away, or I just do something else, or I kind of remove myself from that situation just because I don't want to get into that conflict situation. And so would you say there's merit to that? Yes or no?
Well, it depends on on your ability. Okay, so if you have the ability to create the condition, if you can create a safe environment for the other person who will be able and willing to communicate with you rationally, okay, then avoiding it is not going to improve the relationships. Okay. However, if you are able to create a safe environment for the other person to express themselves, and you can listen to them empathetically or active listening, you will really improve the relationships between you and that individual and that person.
I can
In
see
this
that.
case, avoiding you will lose that opportunity to improve
Yes.
the relationship.
Yes, I can see that. And on a one-on-one scenario, that I can see that. But when there's let's say a group of people, and there can be arguments going on a particular issue, I tend to not be comfortable in that situation.
Yes. So here, when you are equipped with the skills of verbal Aikido, you could be a consensus builder. instead of avoiding it, because you will have the tools with you that you can create common grounds between all those viewpoints, and then bring all those conflicting viewpoints, create find out what is the common denominator between them, and you focus on what is common
Hmm.
and build on it.
And so mediators have that
They
down
have
pat.
that ability. They are,
They have that
yeah,
ability, and I
yeah.
know that you are a great mediator, and so that takes a lot of skills and it takes a lot of practice. And part of your verbal Aikido communications program, which that you are master trainer of, teaches people that. And I know I had the opportunity to attend one of the 2-day program. Perhaps if I'd stayed for the second day, I could have been.
This, this interview might have been different.
Yes, it could have been different. But
Yeah.
you know what? I'm so glad that we had this talk, because I bet you I'm not the only one who has had these emotions or these thoughts, or who I'm not the only one who has found themselves in a sticky situation like that. And I know that it creates a lot of anxiety, a lot of frustration, and a lot of stress. It's unnecessary. And
Yes.
so you know what, if it can be avoided, better, right? I don't really necessarily need for other people to see it the way I do. I just really want to make sure that I'm not affected by the stress of it all. So oh, and you have something amazing for that.
Well, okay. So what? Yes, I do, because when I have many programs. When I shifted from architecture to do what I'm doing now, I created quite a few programs, and in three of those programs, I had an element called stress management. And as a matter of fact, in my book, there are three chapters that deal with stress
Hmm.
management.
Hmm.
So when this pandemic came into being, uh, I thought this is one way that I can contribute to humanity to combat the pandemic, because the pandemic created radical changes in people's life, and change brings um, a lot of stresses into people's life, especially people who were previously in work environment and now they are confined 24/7 in one space, and they are not equipped with the communication skills of verbal aikido.
Yes.
It will create a lot of stresses. So I came up with this Zoominar, which is called the stress pandemic, and the six-pack solution. So the stress has become like a pandemic, and the six-pack solution, which are the six different compartments of stress management tools. They start from mental, emotional, social, physical, priority management, discipline, and also to detect which kind of stress are you faced with. Is it a good stress? Is it a bad stress? Are you in a state of contraction or you are in a state of expansion? So it's a very comprehensive approach to stress management. And what we just discussed here, the communication skills and the reality loop, understanding the reality loop in such a way that my reality is neither better nor worse than somebody else's reality, when suddenly take a lot of that stress out of the conversation and will make the conversation more enjoyable. When people are equipped with the seven laws of communications, they suddenly know how to manage different difficult conversations in a very easy way, and therefore it reduces stress. When they're equipped with the skills of the verbal aikido, they are not afraid to indulge in any kind of conversation,
Hmm.
come out of it in a better situation for the person who initiated and for the other person.
Yeah.
So, plus, over 30 other tools in this Zoominar. And as a matter of fact, I do it once a month. And the next one is this coming Sunday,
Yes, it is.
and and anybody who really wants to come, what I can do is I could actually put the link to it in the comments here, and they
That
can do
sounds
that.
good. Yes.
And
Yes.
I will also give them, because I'm your guest, I'll give them a promo code that they can get 67% discount for this one.
That's
So
awesome. That's awesome.
uh,
So I'm going to be there at this at your stress pandemic workshop. I believe that anything that will equip me to to cope better with everyday life, and also that will give me more information so that I can help other people that are maybe in a stressful situation, is a win for me. So I'm definitely going to be there. So that's August 30th from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And there's a discount promo code, August,
is
uh,
is
sorry, August
August.
SB. Awesome. Thank you so much. And there's the
One thing, one thing about stress. One of the things that I have discovered is that people have do not have a very good comprehensive understanding of what stress is, and that's why it bothers them. For example, if I will just show you this, this is a screwdriver in my hand. It's like a pen, and I'm holding it, and I ask people, how stressful is this? And then they say, well, it's not stressful, it's very light. No, it's not. But then when I ask them that, okay, can you hold it in this position for 30 minutes, for 1 hour?
then that would become stressful.
Not only becomes stressful, it will go through several stages. There will be a stage of stress called boredom.
Mm-hmm.
It's bored, and then it will become painful, and then it will become torture. And not because anything changed. You are still holding it in your hand, it still has the same weight, but how time impacts stress. And we have an elaborate description of how to manage that, the time element of stress, which most people are not even familiar with, are aware of.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I can definitely see how valuable this seminar is going to be, Ahmad Shah. So thank you so much for giving us that promo code. Um, I'm a firm believer in self-education, and so this is one of those instances when it's made so easy for us. Maybe it's because of the times we're in. Everything's so available to us through the you know through the computer. I mean, you can just sit in
yeah,
the comfort of your home and just learn, which is fantastic. So thank you so much for giving that to us. I want to make sure that we say hi to the people who have been watching us. I want to thank you, Ahmad, another Ahmad Gorbani. He's actually watching from Iran. He's
oh,
always, always, always. Oh, see.
I'm not Qajar, I'm Durani.
So thank you. I want to give you a few more minutes, Ahmed, just leave us with whatever you like, some words of wisdom to add to an hour of fantastic information.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, all the viewers who watched, and all the viewers who will be watching, and all your likes. And there is a wow also, I believe, that I see. But thank you very much. What I would like to mention is that, we come from similar background. I come from Afghanistan, you come from Iran, and we have a saying in our cultures, saying as gahwara ta gur danish biamos. I think maybe in Iran,
we say it just a little bit differently.
yeah.
زگهواره تا گور دانش بجوی.
Usually, okay, so we use the Dari version. You use the Iranian, the Persian version of it. But the important thing is that it says seek knowledge always. It,
Yes.
and I have now crossed my 70 year, and I'm still studying. Not only I have these seminars and programs, and I coach people, etc., but on a weekly and daily basis, I learn new things. And when we learn new things, we grow. The opposite of growth is that if we don't grow, we die.
It's true.
Okay,
It's
so
true.
I will ask viewers to find ways that they will grow, that they will find ways to learn new things and become a bigger and better version of themselves. So,
Uh, look
thank
at this. Look at this, Ahmad.
you. Oh, yeah.
That's so nice. That's so loving. And thank you, Marianne Pageant. Thank you so much. I love you too. Thank you very much, everybody who's watched us. Thank you, Ahmad Shah, for, as always, inspiring us and educating us and giving us so much of yourself so generously. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you having as my friend and my coach, and as, of course, as a guest on Dela's Voice.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be a guest on your show. And as I said, you are one of the few people that I can call a shiro.
Thank you. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, so,
And so, for everyone else who joined us this evening on this thought provoking topic, thank you so much for being here and giving us your time and your commitment to self education and knowledge and empowerment. Share this talk with other people so that they may benefit also from the information given here. And don't forget to register for the stress pandemic and the six pack solution, which is offered on August 30th. There's a promo code that gives you 67% off. I mean, it's such a good value. I mean, it's nonsense.
it's like the fee is the discounted fee is just a nominal fee, so that people will take it seriously.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Because yeah, you're right. You're right. We got to pay something to take something serious. It's so true. That's the truth. But the amount of value you'll get from this seminar is fantastic. You're gonna get so much out of it, and I'm gonna be there. So hope to see you very soon. Thank you again. And for everyone who's been watching us, this has been another Dela's Voice, hoping to spark your soul. Take care. Have a good night.